All right, what's up, fellas? Let's just get right to it. It's freaking LSU-Ole Miss week, and we're joined at the top by T-Bob Hebert. It's the way it should be. My old buddy T-Bob and me going head-to-head in a huge one this week. First undefeated matchup between LSU and Ole Miss since '59. We got a lot to get to. First of all, T-Bob, what's up, man? Love having you on Barstool, especially LSU-Ole Miss week. Feels like the way it should be.
Mintzy, what up, bro? Are you hearing yourself? For some reason, it's not coming through my headphones right now. But I don't care as long as you're not getting feedback when you're talking.
I'm
All right,
not.
cool. We're good to go then.
All right, we'll get
What's
shouts.
up, baby? Ole Miss week, Mintzy. And guess what? Neither Trinidad nor Tobago is going to save your little bitch hotty toddy ass come Saturday.
I feel pretty. I'll say I was drinking. Okay, right after the Tulane game last week, I had the full Kool-Aid drink of the Trinidad thing, and I was kind of chirping, a little confident. And as it's gone on, as the week's gone on, I still feel pretty good about it, but less confident. You know, the more and more I think about it. I want to jump right into it first. All right, fun topic. Chat, fire away at us too if you want. I want favorite Ole Miss LSU memories for you because you grew up. You know, I know you were always going to LSU, but Ed Orgeron was your father's roommate at Northwestern State. I know he recruited you to Ole Miss.
So probably my sophomore year of high school, before sophomore year of high school, maybe. I think it was. It might have been after sophomore, but somewhere around there. I went to an Ole Miss football camp and with Ed Orgeron, and this would have been maybe before junior year because I hadn't been recruited very heavily at that point. It's very early on. And it was the wildest, hardest camp I have ever gone to in my entire life. This was still psycho Coach O mode. Mm-hmm. And so we were doing full 2-a-day practices with
I've never heard of that at camp.
No, it was fucking crazy, dude. Full contact, 2-a-days. I mean, no pads. People just like, I remember grabbing guys by the throat, tossing them on the ground. I was all bruised up. I remember that's the only time in my life I ever had full body cramps. At the end of these camp days, you always did something called like Tiger Ball or Rebel Ball, where it was just like kind of like a free-form football fun game thing. And in the middle of it, my entire lower body just completely locked up. So that was a very fond Ole Miss memory. And then during that camp, Coach O actually offered me and Will Blackwell and a bunch of the other Louisiana guys. So he was the first one to offer all of us because he's a very good recruiter. I remember going on an official visit to 2 LSU Ole Miss games. I went to one in Ole Miss. Do you remember when – I think LSU ended up winning pretty handily, but do you remember when Patrick Willis took Justin Vincent, I think it was, and slammed him to the ground?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I remember that on the kid. Yeah, I do remember that.
It's like by the goal line. It's like the most perfect form tackle of all time. I remember that game. And then I remember, I think it was my senior year, LSU Ole Miss in Death Valley, where Coach O had a lead and should have won the game. He got a little over conservative at the end, and LSU ended up winning maybe an OT or at the very end. But those are some of my favorite memories growing up. Why don't you give some, and then I can go back to maybe like
I've got a few to get through. So this some stats, like it's like the Mintz history stuff. Going back to 2000, which was my senior year in high school, I went to the LSU Ole Miss game in Oxford, and LSU won 20-10 when Josh Booty was starting. And since the year 2000, this is going to be the 23rd time in 26 years I've attended this game. The only one
I think I said 21 of 23 on a show earlier, so 23 of 26.
Yeah, I missed 2011, which was the game I'm sure is a good memory for you because that's when LSU kneeled it with 4 minutes to go, up 52-3. That was the worst Ole Miss team of all time. And I was just like, I know what's going to happen. There's no hope. And I went and played World Poker Tour at Jacksonville. I missed 2016 because it was my first year of radio in Shreveport and Bossier, and I made like $14,000 that year. I could barely eat. And then I missed 2019 for one of my best friend's cancer fundraisers. So that's the only 3 I've missed. Gone to all the rest of them. The couple of my favorite memories, the 01, my freshman year at college, was Eli's sophomore year. And I was at the very top of Tiger Stadium, just like, you know, watching ants play on the football field. And Ole Miss blocks a punt before the half and runs it back for a touchdown. And, I mean, I probably, I might have been underage, but whatever. I had one of those huge, like 32-ounce cups, just like whiskey and Coke, like huge one. And I raised my hand when Ole Miss blocks the punt like that, and my buddy smokes my arm. And this whole whiskey and Coke goes all over like 8 Tiger fans below me. And I thought they were going to throw me off the top of the stadium.
Oh, no, dude.
Yeah,
that's a precarious perch to be on, Mintzy, at the top of the stadium. I know exactly where you're talking about.
Yeah, and then that one, the 03 one's the most famous game when they were playing pretty much for the SEC West title, Eli's senior year.
Yep.
When most heartbreaking, like, one of the most wild moments at Ole Miss's stadium ever was the pick six where Travis Johnson had off Matt Mock at the beginning of the game. Freaking Lou Groza award-winning kicker Jonathan Nichols misses 3 field goals. And I don't understand why Eli wasn't in a shotgun on 4th and 10, and freaking the right guard, Doug Buckles, steps on Eli's foot.
Stepped on his foot and he fell. Oh.
And then LSU wins the national title in 03. That was a few of them. And then through the years after that, it was always like Ole Miss wasn't very good, and they'd be like a 27-point underdog, and it'd be the one game of the year they'd fight. And I felt like I saw the same game for years in Death Valley, where LSU wouldn't take it too serious, and then Ole Miss would make it a game in the third quarter, and then Death Valley would just wake up and just be like, F this. And then it'd go into the fourth, and it'd be the rowdiest atmospheres, and LSU would literally always barely win because that's what they do. I mean, Ole Miss hadn't won in Death Valley since 08, so not a lot of good.
It's been a while, but Oxford's always different, man. I remember. Okay, so I want to let me see if I can remember all 5 of my playing years.
Were you playing in the 09 game when Miles messed the clock up?
Yeah,
Oxford.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember my mom and I were at that game.
That was a really bad game. We threw a pick 6 at the beginning of that game, and I remember I was trying to chase down the defensive back, and I was running so fast, and it looks like I popped a tire or got sniped because I am full speed, and then I trip and fall out of nowhere, and I didn't catch myself with my hands, and it's very comedic. You can look it up online, but my head, you ever seen like a big plane crash and like the front of the plane like digs into the ground?
Yeah.
And you see like the dirt spray. Like I fell so hard and was going so fast head first, and then all the little rubber pellets as my head is digging through the ground are just spraying everywhere as Ole Miss goes and scores. We almost came back that game. I actually fucked up the play before we fucked up the clock. Like, so if you remember, we threw that deep ball to Terrence Tolliver, right?
Yes.
Thought about the pin or whatever. But I got beat bad. I had a miscommunication. I got beat bad. So Jordan had to get rid of the ball earlier. So that stuck with me because then we rushed the line. There's 1 second left. Miles is calling timeout. We don't have any timeouts. And he's saying to spike it, which is crazy. Now, funnily enough, it was that memory where it caused us to practice that situation more and be like, look, don't wait for the ref to blow the whistle. As soon as he steps off the ball, just snap it. It was that memory where next year in the now infamous Tennessee game, that's why I just snapped it. Because literally the year before I had been through a similar situation and been on the losing side of Ole Miss. I remember, I've never told anybody this. I barely remember this until just now, but I remember, and this is funny because I don't think Coach Miles necessarily really liked me that much. And he definitely thought I don't know. I don't think he liked me that much. But I remember after that game, we got home, and this doesn't happen normally. We got back to football ops. He called a team meeting, and he basically kind of said, look, this shit won't happen again, blah, blah, blah. And I remember staying after the meeting. I don't know why I did this, but I remember staying after the meeting and talking to him and being like, look, Coach, it's not your fault. We had a lot of, we're all in this. We made a lot of mistakes, blah, blah, blah. I wonder if that meant anything to him. I don't know. That's just a little anecdote I just remembered. So that sucked. But then next year, and I was hurt that game, and I was kind of just not playing that well. Jarrell Poe fucked me up bad a couple of times.
Poe, he in your defense, he did that to a lot of people.
Yeah, he was really good. I never actually played a player as much as Jarrell Poe. We played 3 years against each other in college, and then we ran against each other in a preseason game as well.
Did you play preseason? I didn't realize you played in the NFL preseason.
Yeah, when I was with the Rams. Oh, dude, I got a great opportunity. I played over 20 plays every preseason game. Like I played all the Kansas City game where Poe was, and we were going toe to toe. It felt like college again. So Poe whipped my ass in 09, and then 2010, y'all came to Death Valley, and that was the infamous Jeremiah Masoli game.
Yes, when he played out of his mind. No, that y'all were favored by 1 million, and then Masoli just got. I think y'all won 45-38, if I remember right.
And you know that era of LSU, the offense never won the game. It was always the defense winning the game. So that game has a very special place in my heart because that was one of the few times I was like, okay, we actually stepped up for them. They couldn't find a stop, and we ended up winning that game, and I played really well. I got my revenge on Poe, and it all culminated on Stephen Ridley's final touchdown. I got underneath Poe, and I pancaked him, and then Ridley runs, and he goes and scores. And so I got up in Poe's face, and I started talking shit and jawing at him, and I got him to punch me and get an additional 15-yard flag. So that was the only time where I ever drew a personal foul. And then 2011 was just like,
dude, that was it. The team. That's the worst team.
They said that they weren't even. This is probably a bit of exaggeration, but like we heard that they like weren't even practicing.
I mean, everything I'd heard was that basically was
like
true.
The coaches weren't working. They already knew they were fired, and so that game turned a joke. The only funny memory about that game is when Zach Mettenberger finally got to go in because he was a backup at the time. That bootleg that got us down to the 1 before we kneeled it on the 1 yard line, which is like infamous. That bootleg was not called. It was supposed to be like a zone or a lead. And Zach, who has that gunslinger in him, he just said, fuck it. And he just kept the ball and took off. Just didn't run the play at all. So that was great. And then watching him, nothing fires me up any game the entire season like watching the LSU-Ole Miss game as a fan. Last year was –
yeah.
I mean, some of the memories have been very bad, but last year was one of the all-time best for me.
Well, look, I really think you could argue that the games in 2023 when Ole Miss came back and won 55-49 when they were down 49-40, LSU had over 700 yards of offense and lost. I mean, the waste and one of the best offenses ever. And then the game last year where LSU won 26-23 when Kyron Lacey, rest in peace, caught that touchdown. I mean, those were, I think you could argue, 2 of the best 5 games in college football the last 2 years. That's how good
they were fantastic. And then there was the weird COVID game where LSU was
the COVID game. No, it was pouring. So the 2020 game, there were 10,000 fans in the stands in Death Valley. I was at this game. It was in December. It was like December 19th because of the COVID thing. I've never been to a game that rained that hard. I'm talking like it poured the whole game, but like huge drops of rain. Like it felt like pellets were hitting you the whole game. And that was Keyshawn Butte's freshman year, and he set the SEC record with 310 yards receiving and a 55.
That's what I'm saying. That's the craziest part to go. Now, my old man's always said that rain doesn't fuck up the passing game, wind does. So it might not have been particularly windy that night, but still on such a wet night to go for 310. And that was right when, like, remember LSU was 3-5. They were 20-point dogs to Florida. They somehow win that game. They were huge dogs to Ole Miss. They somehow win that game.
Like, but I think it was near. I think that line was near. Ole Miss was 4-5-ish. I think that line.
Oh, really? Close. I thought it was. I built it up to be double digits in my head.
Yeah,
but that game was huge because that was sort of those 2 games kind of saved the feeling of what was an awful season. Like it sent the off season into with a better mood than it ever should have. So, yeah, I mean, look, make no mistake. When I covered this game when I was working in Baton Rouge, like, and it's, all you're talking about and you're so involved, like, I could literally feel my adrenaline building as each subsequent day goes on. So I cannot wait for Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, and this is the one, too, that I'm only making 1 game in Oxford all year. This is the one I'm making. This is the biggest home game. And I'm curious on the LSU side because LSU, the thing with LSU that makes them unique is they're like rivals with everybody. I mean, they hate Florida, they hate Bama, they hate Ole Miss. They got, and I know the LSU-Ole Miss long lineage, I mean, goes back forever. The Ole Miss side absolutely hates LSU. I think even more than LSU dislikes Ole Miss. Like a lot of the Ole Miss fans, it's like Mississippi State's the natural in-state rival, But like, I feel like Brandon Walker closes ears, but I feel like our fans, especially the out-of-state ones, care more about LSU. The LSU one.
I mean, you can call me a classicist, but like, I don't even know if that's the right word, but my grandpa, he went to LSU in the 50s, and so he raised me to hate Ole Miss. It was always piss on Ole Miss, and it was always go to hell LSU. I hate Ole Miss. Well, I guess it's weird to say, uh, because as you get older, you learn that you actually love these things that you hate. Because I love this game, but I hate Ole Miss more than anyone.
Okay.
Like if you would give me one annual opponent, I would have wanted Ole Miss.
Yeah,
I'm sad to see Alabama go. The A&M thing surprisingly works for me. I think it's the Houston element that I really can't shake.
And they used to play in the 80s. They used to play that first week one every year.
And then Alabama, people don't believe me because Alabama, we're on the other side of the docket where we don't normally win the game. I really love the Alabama game. I'm sad they didn't keep it. And people are like, bullshit, y'all lost every year.
Yeah, but Nick Saban's not coaching no more.
Well, also though, and you'll probably appreciate this because we all have scenarios like this. The one time you do beat Alabama, or the one time you do beat that rival that normally beats you, that is a drug and a feeling that is so exceptional and such a fine vintage that I genuinely believe that it makes all the losses worth it.
Yeah,
like because every time you win, it's just like the greatest day of your life.
Well, then looking at the way that series works, LSU won there in 2007 when they won the title, won there in 2011 when they made the national championship, or your year. 19 won at Bama on their way to the title, and then they beat them in 22 on their way to the SEC West title. So it's literally, if you beat Bama, you're having a huge year no matter what. On this front, the other memory I want to share, and then we'll get into this game, I want freaking vengeance on y'all's asses because of what happened to me in Death Valley last year. Because I was walking out in the concourse and, like, I realize I get recognized because of Barstool, but man, some drunk college kid came up and just shoved me as hard as he could, like almost to the ground when I'm walking out of the concourse. And like, I mean, come on, we love the rivalry, and you can say anything to me. Literally, I'm immune to, like, there's nothing that can be said about me that hasn't been said already. Like, literally, like the last few years up here, literally, there's nothing that can be said. But like, I thought that kind of pissed me off. So I want some vengeance.
That's bullshit, dude. And I saw this when we were at Omaha together. And I think this is a part of working online like we do. It's like the parasocial relationships that people develop. But people feel way too comfortable talking shit in real life. Like there were some guys even in the baseball stadium that were fucking pissing me off, dude. But that's just, I guess that's
that's part of it. They don't talk. They're not going to say anything to people that don't matter, So,
yeah, that's bullshit. Obviously, guys, nobody ever should resort to any physical confrontation. Talk shit, have fun, gloat, be pissed, be happy, whatever. But like, if you walk up and push Ben, that's fucked up. If I'm there, you're gonna hear about it.
Yeah, like for me, like I grew up in Monroe in Louisiana, and my dad went to LSU, and my mom's side's from Mississippi. So I grew up in the heart of this LSU-Ole Miss thing. And obviously I worked with you at ESPN Baton Rouge, so I have strong ties, and I'm close friends with Joe Sloan, LSU's offensive coordinator. Like there's so much intertwined here. Like it's like crazy. All right, let's get to
the streets are saying that you can't lose this weekend.
Oh, that's bullshit, dude. Nobody ever wants to beat LSU more than me because I'm so close to so many LSU people that like I have to. Whether this wins or loses, it impacts my entire next year because of how close.
That's why I laugh. Because I know that it pisses you off, and that's why everybody does it to you.
Oh.
I know that it really is all about Ole Miss with you, especially when it comes to this game.
Oh, especially this game.
Fuck with you about it.
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, but it also, I'm in a spot where I'm so close with LSU and all these people. So when any LSU fan thinks, hey, I'm going to talk shit to an Ole Miss fan, I'm the first target. I'm immediately who people are after. Like, oh, let's just go at Mintz. We know him, And so, all right, let's get to this game. Ole Miss is like a 1.5 point favorite on DraftKings, over under 55.5. All right, couple keys I want to hit on. the Nuss health thing. Because LSU's offense last year, what made Nussmeier so special was how good he was pushing the ball down the field vertically, especially with LSU's speed at receiver. We hadn't seen any of that the first few weeks. And then Kelly came out after the Florida game and said he's dealing with an abdominal injury. And then, it makes sense because he was averaging 5-6 yards per air attempt. Everything was short. Everything was out quick to have him dodge hits, which makes sense. I didn't watch a ton of the Southeastern tape last week because it was a scrimmage, but I heard Nuss looked healthier and better. And so my thought is, are we going to see LSU kind of air it out here for the first time all year? Because that's the big key. That's a different offense when LSU's going vertical in the passing game.
I mean, that's where it gets kind of tough, though, right? Because, why haven't they been? Why haven't they been able to? And maybe you're right. Maybe it's a Nuss torso injury. And, yeah, it looked better last week, but that's Southeastern. I mean, also, though, you think about it, and, I guess Clemson's defense isn't that good, but we know Florida's defense is good now. Because
no doubt.
Look at Miami. What Florida's defense did, Florida has a legitimately good defense. I find the LSU offense to be painfully confusing right now into why. Now, I do like them doing better than not against Southeastern. I think they scored 8 of their 9 drives or whatever. That's good, right? Against bad teams, you always want to look better. But I'm not saying that I'm going to, build a case that they're just going to look stellar this weekend. I think how I've been coping with it is, and some of this makes sense because they replaced their entire offensive line. And we could try to hand wave it away. And even though last year's line wasn't the best run blockers, they were probably the best pass blockers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, for sure. Will Campbell, Emory Jones.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so how I've been coping is I'm just focusing on the defense. Because it's been so long since LSU has had a legitimate defense. And it sucks that Gabriel Relaford's going to be out. But all the additions have been huge. None bigger than Mansour Delane. I know LSU has become wide receiver U, but this was DBU. And for half a decade now, you have not been able to play man coverage just because you could not guard. And now you have Mansour Delane, who is currently the highest graded cornerback in the entire nation, according to PFF. And you have Whit Weeks in the middle, who is an absolute leader and a playmaker. And you finally found it's the story of Harold Perkins is the story of Goldilocks. As an edge rusher freshman year, that's fine, but ultimately he is limited there. He's small. He's a deficiency in the run game. And honestly, if you look back at that year, the games that he took over and won were against bad quarterbacks. It was a very young, what's his name? The old Auburn guy with the great English Premier League sounding name. Oh, Robbie Ashford. It was a young Robbie Ashford. Remember the Arkansas game that was basically won for LSU? It was,
and no, he won the Ole Miss game. He came on. That Ole Miss LSU game that year, Ole Miss was up 14-0, and LSU won 45-17. I mean, he just self-destructed.
And so he had this great year, but I think it was a little bit of fool's gold where edge rusher was never going to be his ultimate position. Then he goes to this kind of nickel off, weak side linebacker role that had him playing coverage a lot. And he actually put together a great season. People don't realize this. But because he didn't straight up win games, he was one of the highest graded pass coverage linebackers in the country. He had over 10 tackles. He had a good year. It just didn't feel as good. Mm-hmm. So they tried to move a middle linebacker. That was a disaster. He's too light.
And he got hurt. And he got hurt. He was out for the year week 4.
Right? And then, and he gets hurt the year 4. And then now you have finally arrived. So, one bowl was too big or too hot. One bowl was too cold. Now it's just right. And it is Blake Baker's star position. It is a linebacker safety hybrid where you can take advantage of his coverage skills. You can take advantage of his just raw playmaking ability by moving him around. And mainly, and this is going to be huge against Trinidad, he is one of, if not the best QB spies in the entire country. And now that Blake Baker can play man and Blake Baker can get creative, if you look at how he handled Cade Klubnik and you look at how he handled DJ Lagway, there's some very interesting pass rush concepts where they're basically committing everything to funnel the quarterback into a lane where Harold Perkins is there waiting. And it's good luck trying to get away from him. So Perk is back, Witt is back, the defense is back. And so I'm kind of I still think they'll figure it out offensively. I think they have too much not to. So if you're telling me they have a good defense, I'll fucking take that.
Yeah, my thoughts on it. So, you mentioned the spine. I think that going in, we've seen 2 full games of Chambliss, who's been a superstar for Ole Miss. Ole Miss has had a lot of dudes at quarterback through the years, a lot. From Eli, Jackson Dart, Chad Kelly, Matt Corral, Bo Wallace. quarterback play's been good. Never had one that can run like this. I mean, he accelerates like Kyler Murray. But you got to think LSU's going to spy on him, and they're not going to let Chambliss beat him with his legs, would be my guess going in. And especially when you got good corners, they're going to make him beat him with his arm. Ole Miss does have depth at receiver. They got 4 good ones, and they got an athletic tight end. So I like when I actually put together a parlay that's going to come out for this game, and I didn't want to take Chambliss rushing yards because I think they're going to really watch that, and they're going to say, hey, we're not letting this kid beat us with his legs. And also a thing in college football, by the way, sacks go against your rushing yards in college football and props. In the NFL, they don't. So it's always something to remember gambling. That's like a real thing.
Yeah, I know. I wish we would change that, dude. It's so stupid. It just muddies conversations because you have to be like, well, actually, the quarterback ran for this if you remove the sack. It's just stupid.
Yeah, my thoughts on the
no, I agree. Look, running quarterbacks have killed LSU the last few years too.
Milrose.
Look what Milrose did in the middle of that A&M game when he came in, and so. That would be priority number 1 to me, would be force Chambliss to beat you as purely with his arm as you can.
Yeah, I think on the Ole Miss side, look, Ole Miss ain't scoring in the 40s in this game against the defense. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to act like they are. They do have a lot better offense than Clemson and Florida. I think Ole Miss can get to the mid to high 20s, and the question is that enough to win this game? And that's on the Nuss thing, and is LSU's offense break back out? That's kind of my thought. I think Ole Miss scores like 27 points in this game. That's my guess.
Yeah, LSU's dealing with some injuries. Relaford's hurt. Caden Durham seems to be hurt. That's an already thin running back room. Who were you telling me about too? Oh, no. We got the right tackle issues.
So the right tackle thing, whoever started last week got benched at half because he was playing so bad. And they put Chester, who used to be the center last year, played right tackle, and then he got a targeting penalty in the second half. So now he's out the first half of this game. So Ole Miss and Ole Miss end, especially with us being banged up, you gotta get to the quarterback. Ole Miss does have they have their own Sunzer Perkins off the edge. He's a terror. D-line's got 3 pretty good dudes, and Xavier Harris and Eccles and Franklin. I like the linebackers. The DBs are all transfers, and I think they're pretty good, okay to pretty good, but Arkansas torched them, so I think it's all about rushing the passer. I think this is a toss-up game, man. I mean,
honestly, bro, I don't have a y'all have won the last 2 times in Oxford, right?
Yeah, 1 in 20, 1 in 13, 15, 21, and 23, and then LSU won in 17 and 19.
It's been a bad place for LSU to go recently. I'm with you. Some would call it maybe cowardice, but I could just so easily form an argument for either team here. It's an absolute coin flip. I mean, even if you look at different books, right? Like DraftKings has had Ole Miss favored, but I've seen others that have had LSU favored. So it is a true coin flip game, even when it comes to the Oracles out west. But that's good. Those are my favorite fucking games. Because you have that pit in your stomach the whole day where when this game starts, I'm going to be locked in for 3.5 hours of a roller coaster ride where there's going to be moments where I'm just on top of the world feeling as good as I possibly can. And then there's going to be moments where I'm just fucking pissed and angry and down. And then you hope by the end of that incredible 3.5 hour, 4 hour journey that you end up with the win and that you can celebrate and make fun of your Ole Miss coworkers for the next year.
Yeah, dude, that one last year and then the one I remember I used to watch Whiskey and Wine, you and Moscona's post-game show, and the clip from 2 years ago, you always were just going off on that, and that was such a big show. But, I mean, I watched the clip probably 100 times where you were just drinking and you were like, this loss is going to hurt for years and years and years. And I got it so viral with Ole Miss fans.
Every that Whiskey and Wine show, that seemed to be a favorite, was opposing fans tuning in when LSU lost.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Just because I wouldn't hold back with how angry and upset that I was. I didn't try to put on any airs.
I'm going, okay, well, we'll touch on a couple other games. I'm going to let you get out of here. I'm saying Ole Miss 27-24 homer. Like I said, I think Ole Miss gets the high 20s, and I hope it's enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go like LSU 31-27.
Yeah, the over-under, I don't have an opinion on the over-under. Lane said take the over on Twitter after all the stuff.
I know, which I love because he's basically saying I'm about to fuck up my daughter's boyfriend, the leader of that defense. Take the over. We're about to score some fucking points.
That's hilarious. The parlay I did was Trades Green, LSU's tight end's back healthy. He's so good in the red zone, super athletic. I did him touchdown, rushing touchdown for Chambliss, and Ole Miss by 1.5 at like 13 or 14 to 1. So I'm going to put it out on DraftKings tomorrow.
Hell yeah, baby. Let's
go,
Mintzy. Almost that time, dude.
All right, couple other biggest week college football. I mean, Ryder Cup golf, college football, also other huge games. There are other games in LSU-Ole Miss. Bama at Georgia, Oregon at Penn State. Both. I love the night games, though, because I'm going to get to go watch them after. What do you think about this Bama-Georgia game? Georgia 3-point favorite.
I just don't see how Bama's going to win. Not in Athens. And I know that Bama's looked much better. They haven't played anybody. They look much better. It may end up being that Florida State has a really fucking good defensive line. And I don't think Florida State's punted the last 2 games either. So they've been playing.
They haven't
well.
played any, but they got a tricky one Friday night at Virginia. It's a 7-point favorite.
Yeah, that seems
a lot of people I know on
Virginia.
A lot of people I know on Virginia as a home dog this week.
I agree, but it's not even like, so you can find all kinds of crazy numbers about how like Kirby Smart and Georgia are incredible against everybody, but awful against Alabama. But the thing about those numbers are, it is Nick Saban's Alabama. And you can say, oh, well, what about last year? DeBoer got him. True, but Carson Beck played god-awful. Could not have played worse in the first half. Jalen Milroe played the best he's ever played in the first half. It was in Tuscaloosa, and Georgia damn near still won that game.
They tied it before the Ron Williams crazy spin move touchdown.
And so it's like, so now you're telling me that a flawed Alabama team with a program that seems to be in flux is going to go into Athens, into the most stable program in the entire country under the Kirby Smart regime, and they're going to beat a Georgia team that has won 33 straight home games, including beating 8 top 15 teams in that streak. I think by like an average of like 10 points or something. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I lean Georgia too. I also kind of lean over 52.5 because we saw that Georgia-Tennessee shootout, 44-41. And like when you think about Alabama now, you think defense because of Saban, but like this ain't the same defense, man. They play some high-scoring games now. And so you think Georgia-Bama low-scoring physical, but last year was like 38-31. I mean, I kind of think over 52.5 is in play too.
Yeah, also Georgia proved something to me finding a way to win that game against Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was some championship pedigree program type shit because they had no business winning that. Gunnar Stockton proved something with me with that 4th and 8 throw. That was crazy. Had to be perfect. Game on the line, and he was. So, again, if you could survive that House of Terrors in Knoxville, I think they're going to hold serve at home.
I think so, too. What about Oregon-Penn State? Real interesting. Penn State hadn't played anybody. Oregon's been playing nobody too, but killing everybody. They've looked far more impressive than Penn State. Penn State's got that whiteout, the home field advantage. It's a night game in Death Valley. Obviously, a cross-country trip for Oregon. I mean, I feel like Oregon's the better team, but that is a tough spot on the road. But it's just the James Franklin big game thing. I just can't trust him.
The thing is, though, like if you remove the James Franklin big game thing, which I will get to, but Penn State has to win this game. They need to win this game. Like they have all the advantages. They have a roster that's much more set in stone, even though losing Abdul Carter and Tyler Warren. Look at how good those guys are doing in the NFL, right? You see how massive what a massive worth they were to that team last year. But still, Penn State's at home at night, whiteout. They're rested. They're more experienced. Drew Aller is a 3rd-year starter. And then on the Oregon side of the ball, they replaced a lot of their starters. They did it with elite talent, but it's still new. And Dante Moore's been great. But now you're going to tell me that Dante Moore is going to go into Happy Valley and pull this off? That would be disastrous for Penn State and for James Franklin. So I think I like Penn State to win. I may play Oregon plus 3.5, but I think Penn State wins this thing in a close one by 3. What's interesting about it, though, is Oregon's playing with complete house money for all the reasons we just said. We've seen Lanning win the big game even in his short time at Oregon. James Franklin has all that mountain of narrative hanging over his head. And what really sucks for Penn State, like if Oregon wins this game, Dan Lanning goes completely over and Oregon's awesome. And Dan Lanning's a fucking man. If Penn State wins this game, we're going to be like, okay, good. Now do it again.
Yeah.
And now do it again. And now do it again. Because we'll be like, okay, now you're 5-20 against top 10 teams instead of 4-20. So this is just a really brutal narrative setup for Penn State here.
Yeah, I'd agree. This one's also, like, they played a shootout in the Big Ten title game last year. It's a rematch of that, which Oregon won. I actually lean under 52.5 in this one. I think this one, I kind of actually don't see this being a shootout.
No, this has defense written all over it. I agree.
Yeah, that's what I think. And then the other game that's not a marquee game to mention, I think Arkansas is going to get Notre Dame Saturday. Arkansas could be lost the last 2 weeks, fumbling on Ole Miss's 20 and on Memphis's 12. They got an elite offense with Taylor Green and Petrino. Notre Dame's defense has looked atrocious with Chris Ash, the new defensive coordinator. They're a 4-point favorite. I actually kind of think Arkansas pulls one Saturday morning. I don't think they're that bad either.
I'm kind of just giving into the group think here, and I'm just saying over.
Yeah,
I think Notre Dame wins.
64.5. Whew.
I know. It's a lot. I think Notre Dame wins. I think they're a better team top to bottom. They have more talent. I really like CJ Carr, but Taylor Green is awesome. But Arkansas just finds ways to lose, dude.
Dude, they do, man. I mean, the last 2 weeks, I can't imagine. I mean, God, to have that happen back-to-back weeks, man. That's real tough. Well, also quick, before we get out of here, Thursday Night Football, I put together a parlay that is Arizona allows 264 yards passing a game, and they did it against Mac Jones, Bryce Young, and Spencer Rattler. So that looks a little shaky to me. So I took Darnold over 270, Kenneth Walker under 51.5 rushing because Charbonnet's back, and I took Seattle to win because they're 8-2 in their last 10 against Arizona. They just own that matchup. And I took Torrey Horton over 2.5 catches because he's been emerging as the number 2 receiver. It's like 29-1. So
the only interesting conversation that I had about this game, John Gruden was in the office today, and he was really just lamenting the overall state of offensive line play. And he went down the Seattle offensive line and just showed how young they are, man to man to man. And basically said now they're on a short week. They're young. They don't really know what they're doing. And apparently, because I don't watch the Cardinals close enough, but he was saying the defense that Gannon runs is just a nightmare to try to ID. That they don't run traditional fronts at all.
Okay.
That it's all stand up, mixed up, moving around. So he seemed to be kind of painting a picture where maybe that Seattle offense struggles because the O-line won't be able to understand on a short week what Arizona's bringing them. I don't have a strong opinion on the game. I'm excited to watch. I like that parlay you laid out, but I just thought that was some pretty fascinating insight from Coach Gruden.
Yeah, that he knows more than I do. Well, you got a wedding this weekend, right?
He will forget more football than the entire Barstool office combined will ever know. Like he'll forget more than all of us combined will ever know.
Yeah, I did. That was an insight I wish I'd heard earlier for sure. You're in Atlanta. You got a wedding, right?
Yeah, I'm flying out to Atlanta tomorrow. I'm going to rush over to one of my boys' weddings Friday, and then Saturday I'll be at the in-laws taking in the most glorious day of sports on the calendar.
Oh, man, it's beautiful. Well, yeah, I'm getting to Oxford late. I'm flying to Memphis late tonight, and I'll be all over there Friday through Sunday, and I'm back here Monday morning, so I can't wait. T-Bob, thanks, man. Just it's still surreal having you here and getting to do this with you, man. Getting to do it LSU-Ole Miss weekend. Too much fun. Go to hell LSU this weekend, though. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, piss on Ole Miss, bitch. You know I love you, but not tomorrow afternoon. I look forward to another year of being a condescending prick as I get to lord yet another LSU win over Ole Miss over you.
I don't see it, but we'll see. Hotty toddy. Thanks again to T-Bob. Shout out Stella Blue and Dude Wipes. Have a hell of a weekend, boys. It's watch Ryder Cup, 7 a.m. tomorrow. Shout out Stu Feiner for getting to do that video. Super cool. And shout out Moody for producing. And y'all take it easy. Hotty toddy. Hell yeah, damn right.
All right, Mintzy. Go Tigers.
Thanks.
Later, dog.